Hey everyone, and welcome back to OntarioCryptids. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all who continue to support this channel by subscribing, liking, and commenting on my weekly episodes. It is truly appreciated. Also, I would like to wish all mothers around the globe a happy Mother's Day today. Hope you have the opportunity to spend it with your families in one way or another. Finally, if you have a story you would like to share in a safe environment, then forward your encounter stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. Now, today I will be sharing 3 stories with you all, so go grab yourself a beverage and get cozy on your couch or chair and sit back and relax. Okay, so this story takes place in the summer of August 16th, 2020, Pend Oreille County, Washington. The nearest town is Madeline Falls, and it takes place around Helmer Mountain. So let's get to the story. Normally, I wouldn't report something like this, but I have been trying to rack my brain for an explanation of what animal could have created the noise we heard on Saturday, August 15th, 2020. I can't come up with any definitive answer. My husband, brother, and I decided to do a short backpacking trip in the Salmo Priest Wilderness area between Sullivan and Priest Lake. We hiked in about 4 miles to our campsite, the site off an old Forest Service cabin. The cabin site is surrounded by firs, bare grass, and huckleberry bushes. It was a warm, sunny weekend. There was not much animal signs around. The huckleberries were not quite ripe at our elevation yet, so we did not see any fresh bear sign. Our campsite is also the only place with water for quite a ways around. I'm not sure exactly how big of a radius. We arrived at camp mid-afternoon. After a nap, we decided to hike further down the trail, about a mile or two, to bag another peak. We saw a hunter camping just off the trail just below the peak. After briefly talking with the hunter, we headed back to camp to make dinner. We stayed up until 10 p.m. talking with one another and then went to our tents and fell asleep. Around midnight, we heard 3 loud thuds that sounded like something heavy bouncing on the ground. My brother yelled from his tent asking if we heard that. My husband and I both answered yes. Before getting out of our tents, we discussed what it might be. We either thought a bear got into our bear bag hanging in a tree outside of the camp, or our bear canister broke through our plastic garbage bag serving as a bear bag and bounced down the hill. We unzipped the doors of our tents and shined a flashlight on our bear bag. The bag wasn't even swinging. My brother and husband got out of the tent to scare away whatever it was outside of our campsite. As they got out of the tents, they heard something run on the downhill side of our camp. They started throwing rocks in its direction and could clearly hear it running further down the hill. I couldn't hear it from where I was at, but they said it sounded heavy. They couldn't see anything with the flashlight. Once it reached the bottom of the hill, it stopped. I got out of the tent at this point. We thought for sure, whatever it was, that it would be back. We were up the entire rest of the night, but did not hear anything. The hunter hiked out early the next morning, but did not stop to talk. At daylight, we attempted to recreate what we heard from the tents. My brother picked up about a 4-foot-long log near the camp and held it above his head, and threw it about 4 feet away from himself. It bounced a few times. We all looked at each other and knew that it was the exact same sound we heard in our tents. I thought for sure we were dealing with a bear the night before, but I've never heard of a bear throwing a log such a distance and at such a height. I don't know for sure what it was that we heard, but it may very well have been a Sasquatch. We did not spend a second night at that site like we were originally planning. We decided to hike out. I'm not sure I would camp there again. I have had a similar encounter probably 10 to 12 years ago as a kid in Z Canyon, except it was a rock that was thrown from the shore and I was on a boat. This encounter takes place in the spring, April 15th, 2019, Oklahoma County, Oklahoma. And the nearest town is Oklahoma City. So let's get this right. This story takes place in Oklahoma County. Nearest town is Oklahoma City in the state of Oklahoma. All right, I think we finally have that right. Okay, let's get to the story. When I lived in northwest Oklahoma City, I would frequently take evening walks in Sitchcomb Wildlife Refuge. The preserve is roughly 1,000 acres located in the suburb of Oklahoma City and Yukon, adjacent to the Wiley Post Airport. Beginning from the parking lot at the end of Northwest 50th Street, the maintenance road will take you 2.5 miles upriver to the Kilpatrick Bridge, where the North Canadian River enters the reserve. However, the city only maintains the trail to the remote communication building. From there, the trail becomes overgrown in the summer. The park is typically visited by local neighbors, bicyclists, horseback riders, and dog lovers. This evening, I decided to venture past the communication building as the foliage was still at ease. I continued another half-mile up the path to where the power lines cross the river. From there, the riverbank drops 15 feet, giving a nice view of the river below. As I approached this area, my eyes were immediately caught by someone down below at the river's edge. What I saw was an all-black figure down at the river's edge about 250 feet away. I thought it was strange because not many people hike off into the preserve during the summer, nor late in the evening, or even past the communication building. As I watched this man down at the river's bank, I started to notice subtle details like golden red hair in the sunset. I also didn't notice any distinct clothing but hair alone. At this moment, I remember being very confused to what I was seeing. Whomever was down at the river began to walk inland using its arms to move the reed bushes. That's when I saw its long hair dangling from its arms, shoulders to the hand. Oh my God, it's a Bigfoot, I thought. I immediately began to reach for my phone without taking my eyes off of the creature. That's when it noticed me. What terrified me the most was not being able to make out any details in the face as we made eye contact. And that is when I ran. I continued to run until I met a couple with their dog back at the communication building. I will never forget the look of confusion on their faces when I came sprinting around the corner. I wanted to tell them about my experience, but I continued to run as I thought they would not believe me. The following day, I returned to look for footprints, but was not able to venture into the overgrown foliage. The experience was not enough to scare me away completely. Instead, I was more cautious of the time of day and surroundings. I continued to exercise at Sitchcomb until I moved to Arizona in July of 2019. Okay, so this last story takes place in September of 2020, Perry County, Ohio, and the nearest town is Shawnee. My husband and I have been hiking a local trail system in our area nearly every day since we got our dog in 2013. Over the years, we have experienced several instances of wood knocking and didn't think much of it, in all honesty. More recently, we have stumbled upon small trees 4 to 5 inches in diameter that were twisted, broken in ways that a human could not achieve, in our opinion. All of these instances combined over the years have not really made us feel unsettled or afraid, nor did we think it was anything too worthy of note. However, our most recent experience, which occurred over a period of a few days in September of 2020, was unexplainable, and I cannot go without reporting this any longer, as it is truly been bothering me since it occurred. In September of 2020, my husband and I were on an evening hike approximately 4:30 to 5 o'clock p.m. at the Stone Church Horse Trail System, which is part of the Wayne National Forest in Shawnee, Ohio, Perry County, when we heard what we could only describe as a howling, roaring sound. The noise occurred twice, and there was approximately a minute of silence between the two howls or roars. Sadly, I was unable to get my phone out quick enough to record the instance, as it all happened so fast. My husband and I never heard anything like it before. I was a bit unnerved by the sound, and we quickly left the area and headed back home. We spent that night looking up calls of animals native to Ohio, but none of the sounds we listened to or even remotely resembled the sound that we heard that evening. A couple of days later, we went back to the same trail system where we heard the noise. We stopped along the trail to allow our dog to get a drink of water. My husband was preoccupied with the dog, and I was just taken in the scenery. I happened to hear some rustling on the ridge above us, and when I looked up to look, I saw what I can only describe as a very large bipedal creature walking between the trees and the brush. The creature was far enough away that I could not make out specific features, but it was very large. It had dark-colored fur hair, dark brown or black in color. I cannot give an exact height measurement, but the creature appeared to be approximately 6 feet tall. This estimate is based upon our survey of the surrounding trees where the creature was sighted on the ridge. I called for my husband to look over at the creature, but it disappeared over the crest of the ridge into the forest before he was able to see it. Additionally, more recently, specifically February 13th, 2021, at 4:57 p.m., I unintentionally recorded a wood knock while recording video of my dog. This instance also occurred on the same trail where my husband and I heard the howling, roaring, and I saw the bipedal creature in September of 2020. I do have that footage, and the wood knock can clearly be heard. There you have it, 3 more fantastic stories. I hope you all truly enjoyed these more recent encounters. Again, I would like to wish all you moms out there in YouTube land a happy Mother's Day. If these stories reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCryptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on this channel. This might even be a therapeutic experience for you to finally get it off your chest. Thank you for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit that like button on your way out and subscribe if you're new to my channel. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you all next week.